Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another live stream, and thank you so much for tuning in for another show. In the past couple of years, there have been many attempts, violent attempts against Benjamin Netanyahu, with assassination attempts to sabotage against the man, flame bombs in his house, alongside the assassination attempts that he faced from some of the resistance movements too. But now we just had a new revelation that a 70-year-old woman was planning to assassinate Benjamin Netanyahu with an RPG. Yes, you've heard that right. I'm going to talk to you about this report and also the previous attempts against Benjamin Netanyahu and the secret organizations that are being formed as part of the protesters against Benjamin Netanyahu and his government. Some of them are public, some of them are not public. I'm going to tell you all about that in this live stream. And by the way, I will have another video after this live stream that will include the majority of the recent updates in relation to the latest when it comes to the Palestinian resistance, the dangerous moves coming from Israel in the West Bank with the annexation plans and what that means exactly, alongside several important information in relation to Iran that's coming from Israeli officials now preparing for another war. Let's talk about this, and that will be in another video that will be released later on. But in this live stream, look at this here. Anti-government protest activist arrested on suspicion of expressing intent to assassinate Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu with an RPG. Other activists who are close to the suspect and heard about her intentions, a 70-year-old woman, they were the ones who turned her in. The woman was taken for questioning at the National Unit for Investigation of Serious and International Crime, where she partially confessed. In a confrontation between her and one of the other activists who passed the information to the authorities, she retracted and denied the accusations against her. Lapid and Gantz condemned the opposition. The protest organizations issued a joint statement that violence is contrary to our struggle. It has been, there has been a very big debate within the protester circles inside of Israel about the level of effectiveness of protesting in Israel, especially with the previous attempts to go and protest against Benjamin Netanyahu to stop the war, especially in the past couple of years, and them being ineffective. That ineffectiveness led to a big rebellion, a move against the country. That was translated when you started to see dozens of people, those who are only reported, by the way, and declared by Israel, that started to operate for Iran inside of Israel. People from all walks of life, different ages, men, women, different backgrounds. And they're being imprisoned in high security locations in the north of occupied Palestine, by the way. But then people started to talk about the fact that, well, he's not listening to us. And I'm talking about Israeli Jewish populations, by the way. He's not listening. So therefore, we need to start taking action. This woman was one of them. However, it wasn't just her. You're talking about an attempt to have more secret organizations. For example, there was this text here. They're translating some of it here. I'll try and translate as much as possible. This was sent by this suspect and apparently sent by other people too, circulating it to people who are protesting against Benjamin Netanyahu and his government. A team for special operations. The text is saying, was sent on WhatsApp, the protests in Israel are arranged in 2025 by various organizations with different names, and they're naming them. All of them have joint and important reasons and goals for a better and more cooperative future in Israel. Despite that, there are groups that are unknown to the public, and they choose in separatism, and secrecy. And that's because of the nature of the secretive operations that they conduct. And they have special operations. We're having a pilot to increase the numbers and activities of this group, and we're very keen, we want to have keen men and women to join us. The conditions are, you need to have very good fitness levels, and you need to know how to improvise properly. You need to have at least minimal understanding in cyber. That would be basically an advantage. And if you have a background as a fighter, you'll have an even bigger advantage. So it's not just about this woman, it's about an organization from within Israel that is expanding now, people trying to recruit more and more to carry out attacks against Benjamin Netanyahu. So they're not like keeping it secret that they want to assassinate the prime minister. This is part of a growing trend. We have seen attacks on Israeli army bases. One of the biggest bases, not the biggest base in the central part of occupied Palestine, was attacked twice in the past 2 years. Other Israeli army machinery was targeted and burned. There were inner confrontations inside of the Israeli army. More people operating for Israel's biggest threat, what Israel perceives as the biggest threat, which is Iran. And now they're having these organizations as well to try and assassinate Benjamin Netanyahu directly. And by the way, there were examples previously. Last year I spoke about one of these examples of these people here. 4 anti-government protesters charged with terror for firing flares at Netanyahu home. Prosecution alleged suspects had been warned by the Shin Bet against using pyrotechnics, accuses group of acting out of ideological motivation to pressure the prime minister. Israeli Ashkenazi Jews. It's important to note that. One of them was a senior officer in the Army Reserves, a senior officer in the IDF, and 3 others. Ofer Doron and his son Gal Doron, and 2 other long-time anti-government activists, Itai Yafeh and Amir Sadeh, 63, 27, 62, and 62. So people over the age of 60, most of them trying to kill Netanyahu. Anyway, these people faced the Israeli court in the Haifa district. That was last year. After this was the image. If you recall the video I posted at the time of a flame bomb against Benjamin Netanyahu's house in Caesarea. This was the same house that Hezbollah targeted with a drone. And at the time, many people were wishing that Benjamin Netanyahu would be killed and would die with this attack. And clearly there were still some people trying to assassinate the man inside of Israel. So what do we understand from all of this? So number one, the protesting movement inside of Israel is not just a protesting group. You're talking about people who actually have an intention to take down the establishment, and they are taking practical steps, some of them, as in some elements within them, to take down the Israeli government. That shows you the level of discontent, distrust of the Israeli government and Benjamin Netanyahu, the state itself, and the fact that these people resort to violent action against the country. The fact that these people are of a Jewish background and an Ashkenazi background, most of them, is also very symbolic. You're talking about descendants of the founders of the state of Israel, all of a sudden standing up against their own country. Netanyahu, during the genocide in Gaza and recently too, he's been trying to say that the Palestinian population in Gaza is actually carrying out a revolution against Hamas. And if we want to compare the two for a second, firstly, they're hopeless, by the way, these traitors who operate for Israel, because the majority of the population of Gaza, they stand firm with the resistance because they know that's the only option out. At the end of the day, they tried talking with Israel for decades. And those who tried to talk with Israel, now they're having all of the West Bank being annexed by Israel with the majority vote in the Knesset. That's something I'll be talking about in the other video. They failed to do that despite all of the Israeli destruction and destruction of all of the government buildings and government offices in Gaza and every kind of power and or controlled area of the civilian authority. Despite that, they haven't been able to move the population against the Palestinians, the Palestinian resistance and the elected Palestinian Authority. And in Israel, in occupied Palestine, where Netanyahu still has all of the establishments, his government is controlling every single aspect. The police is totally abiding by Benjamin Netanyahu, and he's managing to get his way with the Israeli courts too, now with this plea deal that Trump is even participating in to save Benjamin Netanyahu. He's still facing people and organizations formed out of Israeli Jews trying to take him down and trying to take the government down. And that's something extremely symbolic, because despite all of this power, projection coming from Netanyahu, he always tries to pose as, a powerful individual who has everything under control, that Israel is succeeding, Israel will be writing the future. All of that is garbage and is just an act. At the end of the day, they're crumbling from within. The army is in a huge crisis, and they have these assassinations and groups now forming with people trying to assassinate him and take the government down. These were the main things that I wanted to share in this live stream. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll have another video for you, so stay tuned on my video tab with all of the recent updates, some very important information. In the meantime, stay blessed, take care, and I will see you soon in the next video. Peace, everyone. Salam.